Hello, welcome back. Tonight I will speak about a few subjects that I always touch upon. They're all connected with King Paimon. King Paimon is my source of wisdom, no? It is a book that I have written, a grimoire called King Paimon, Lord of the Endless Silence, the Lord of the Abyss. It is found on Amazon internationally if you want to buy it. It's a large book written in verse that tells the story of King Paimon. And in that book, in this grimoire, we have himself, King Paimon, talking and revealing things, secrets, wisdom, and a lot of things about his stories and a lot about himself as well. The book I have written last year, it is published, and this is continuation of that book, of that wisdom, of course, of King Paimon. It is part of my almost like a memoir of mine through my life, my connection to King Paimon and what he means to me, and the wisdom that he still carries and I still want to touch upon. No, I didn't want my connection to end with the book as it's finished, in the way of continuation to that wisdom, to that knowledge. And in the last recordings I have spoken about the dark side, how one develops his dark side, what it means, or that type of dark soul search, or the darker aspects of one's personalities in plural, because we all carry different personalities in ourselves. And say, well, if the human being has been described until a certain point quite basic, we always go further and we touch upon different subjects to realize that the human soul or the human body or the human mind is much more intricate, much more developed than we think. There's a lot of layers, there's a lot of things now that we are able to do, able to understand, that somehow our limiting beliefs or our not knowing has stopped us from figuring out more about ourselves. And tonight I would like to speak more about the darker aspects, to go a little bit more into the wisdom from King Paimon, and say, well, he represents the abyss. The abyss is total darkness, and say, well, how can that total darkness carry that amount of wisdom? And say, well, the total darkness, or the darkness itself, is the potential, is that source from everything that comes from darkness. And say, well, it's not only the light that carries force and power and emotion and source of life. The darkness does carry the same thing. And say, well, it does work together with the light as well, no? Say, well, if the first aspect of anything is the darkness, is from the not knowing, not being, and it develops then in that element of the darkness, for a certain time, and then it develops into the light, and then it goes through a different stage. And in our personalities as humans, we say, well, we have our darker side, or what it means. I want to touch upon this tonight. Say, our darker characteristics, or dark powers, or dark knowledge, or dark features, and say, well, they all have and carry a certain intensity, a certain truth, a certain power, a certain magnetism, a certain revelation power, transformational power, sexual power, So even more than this, it's just a few examples. It is a huge source of potential. And in the spiritual sense, a lot of people understand it wrong, because they always focus on the light, and say, well, light, but the real spiritualists understand that the real source of everything is the darkness. But for some certain reasons, either fear or not understanding or not being able to go in that source and reach into that source and take from that source things that they can use them later on, There is a lot of potential there. I'm not speaking about darkness in the meaning of evil, because evil is not darkness. Evil is evil. It's totally different. There's not synonym. The darkness means the abolishment of the light. So there is no light. So it is, simply the opposite of light. And King Paimon, as I said, represents the abyss. And that abyss is endless, no? It is a source of endless knowledge as well. And say, well, the beautiful element of the light is that the light glows most strongly into the darkness. It means, in a symbolic sense, that source of the soul, or the human knowledge or wisdom, which can be represented by the light, it shines more, it reveals itself more into the darkness, no? Because the darkness has that power to almost to say the dark, we see the simple black, but in the darkness there are many codes, there are many elements. They survive in that element of the darkness, so they do exist. Only because we are not able to see them doesn't mean they do not exist, no? That's a little trick of the mind. And the light, is to say, appears, no? And it offers a glow, it offers a certain type of light that can be very helpful in the darkness, that we are able to see things that we are not able to see before. But the real occultist, the real spiritualist, is the one who doesn't need the light to see in the darkness, no? So, well, in the total darkness, symbolical meaning, one can see everything, one can understand everything, even things that did not come yet to life, or which have already passed away. No, we can speak even in a spiritual form, occultist form, of connecting with ghosts, or connecting with spirits that do not exist anymore, that do live in some type of darkness, or are able to exist in that non-nuance, without life, in a physical form, no? But in a spiritual form, they are still, the energy still is there, the energy is still to be felt. One can reach them, one can hear them, one can communicate with them. And for that, there is necessary that type of darkness around, no? So, well, those spirits almost are vanishing in the form of the light, no? They are not able to exist when light is there. There is the certain need of the darkness, of the dark element. But when we speak about our own personality, no, so, well, the darker aspects of our personalities are the real aspects of who we are. So there is no need or no shame or no shyness to say, yeah, I am from the darkness, I come from the darkness, I carry a lot of elements that have been created in me since my origin form, no? And I'm part of that, so they are part of me. And there's no... It is the truth. It would be a lie to say, no, I'm only a being of light, no? And so, well, the soul is a being of light, no? So it does carry that light, which represents the fire or the life, or in a symbolic meaning. But the real source of everything is darkness, no? And in that darkness, all those qualities that we carry are very powerful. That's why I want to touch upon tonight, to say, well, the darker aspects of one personality, of one soul, are those parts which reveal themselves at certain times, but because they are not accepted, or not loved, or not protected, or appreciated, they come in a form that is not beneficial, no? Because it is almost like, well, if I was to show myself in that way, what others will believe, or it's almost like the darker side is reforms himself in something that we wanted hidden from others, so we don't scare people away, or, you know, there's a certain misconception of the mind, or certain fear of the soul that creates a wall, creates a block. It's almost like a door we want to close, no? And sometimes we have the key and we can enter and we can see there sometimes, but it's almost like even we are scared of that room that we carry in ourselves, of those elements which are darker. And that's quite silly to do, no? We can say, well, first of all, they are part of one's self, no, very strongly. And secondly, if one goes after the truth and say, well, they are part of me, so there is no need for me to hide those aspects of me. And third, they do carry a lot of power. I think the real power, the real you, or the real me, comes from those elements, no? And it's almost like, well, the aspect of light, no, is the same important as the aspect of dark. And even if they're quite different, say, well, we do need the aspect of the darkness, that it can work well with the light, because without the element of the darkness, even the light it's just like it doesn't have any form. It seems a little bit like not protected in some way. Not even the light does need the darkness. And that meaning is so to say, well, the dark aspects is just an example, protect me so much more from doing things wrong or going in places that my intuition or my intuition says no, don't go, and so on, but because I'm scared, or I don't have enough power inside me to protect myself, or to have that raw element of power inside me, the darker elements inside of me, to go after what I want, to say what I want, to be who I am truly, to not follow others, to be my own boss, to be my own, almost I see it like a panther, a raw, ferocious cat, wild cat, They do carry a lot of the darkness. They actually are best suited in the darkness. They are created for the darkness and those are the aspects that they are most successful in hunting or in living their life. And so, well, those darker elements of the animal is very raw. And say, well, humans have that part, but somehow they hide it, or they try to convince others they don't have it. So it's very manipulative. It can get very manipulative. And I find personally the dark elements very beautiful, and they almost calm me in many ways. They give me a sense of security, of power, but real power that comes within me. It is not a power that is fake in a way. Say, well, I bought this and I have power because I have this and that, like objects or things that are external to me. But I carry the intensity of my own darkness, of my the dark mother, or the dark Lilith, or they call it, or the dark knight for men, or the dark king. Those characters are very powerful and very magnetic, and carry a lot of success rate with them as well. But I've said, well, everything has to come back to light. Everything moves towards the light. So even those darker aspects have to be controlled in some way that it is not malicious, it's not evil. That is, say, well, it is a aura that I carry, but it does not, it still leans and goes towards the light of beneficial powers towards me and others. It does not destroy, it does not manipulate, it does not lie. It is simply a true acknowledgement of who I am without lying to myself, And it does create a beautiful balance in the body, mind and soul. So, well, my dark elements, can be representative by the darker hand, the darker path, and my lighter elements, which are more on the right path, right hand, And so, well, for a good true navigation, you need both elements, and there is no, sometimes the dark elements can be stronger if the life necessities create those situations, and sometimes one can go through life more into the lighter elements, but one has the ability to use both. So, for example, for me, when I meet or encounter a person, I can already say if they have touched. Some people, they have never even thought, never even touched their darker elements, so they feel weak, or they feel unbalanced, or they feel like people pleasers, or they are not able to say no, they are not able to stand in their power, put their foot down, in an authoritative, positive way, and the ones who carry only the light aspects, they seem a little bit like lost. They are a little bit like superficial, because it's almost like they get a little silly, or they get very childish, and so, well, some people are able to have this since a child. For example, me as a child, I already had those dark elements inside me. Like, I have many photos with me, everyone smiling. I don't smile because there's no reason. There is a dark element of me in myself since I'm a child, even if I'm actually a very light person, but I do carry that seed of the darkness, that it gives me that grounding, it gives me that seriousness, it gives me that drive, it gives me that power, it gives me that courage, it gives me that bravery, it gives me that no, yes, yeah, I go. So there is a wonderful power in that. And later in my adult life, because I encounter in my environment or new environments that I have, went in, everyone was like pretending that everything is more like on the light side, and then I felt that energy of them, and then I thought, oh, why I'm scared to encounter my darker side or those darker elements of me. I was like, I started to feel scared because they were not able to, be honest and truth of who they are. And so that's quite interesting. It's like I can feel the environment of the others, and they are not able to almost to say maybe they have been punished to show that part of, or they use it in a manipulative way, say, well, I pretend to be only nice and sweet, but inside me I have, those elements are not balanced, so they use the darker side in a manipulative way to strike when the other one is not prepared, because they think I'm nice, but actually I'm not, So this manipulative force is very toxic for their own self, because first it does not reach that potential. It is almost like moving backwards, because lies, a lie, it takes away from you. It does not bring you further. It creates a hole. It creates a jump down. It is something that is are not appreciated even in the spiritual world. To say, well, if we humans think that we are only by ourselves and no one sees what we do and what we hide inside and our malicious thoughts, or how we treat others, but we don't really show that to others, that those things are not seen, but they are felt. Believe me, they are felt, and secondly, they are seen by higher powers. So the best approach to that, even if you work, for example, when I work with different spirits or different, from my books, there is no such a big distinguish between the darker and the, because you are who you are finally, and one can only have a desire to learn and to discover new things in the way of showing respect and honor to a higher knowledge or higher form of intuition or higher form of love. Now we can only reside ourselves so much in ourselves that we can grow higher and learn higher from a positive perspective. And it doesn't have to be for an outward purpose, but for ourselves. It is very much appreciated. It is then given to you. So you say, well, if others say, well, I have a material gain or I have material winning, that means that I'm doing something right, or, it goes very much into the ego, I'm better than others, and so on and so forth. I don't want to go too deep into that, but it is a very malicious way. It's almost like you live into the shadows and you lose yourself. You never even question who you are. It's almost to say you need the validation of the material to give you value, because you never search, you never found the value you have in yourself, and it's a very sad story. It is sad. So the one purpose of going inside, on an inner path of discovering who you truly are, is first not to be scared, to say, well, there is a higher power, God, that has created me first and foremost, and he knew exactly what different sides or different characteristics or abilities or the way he created one, God. So those elements that I have used or needed in my life, are important, are to be honored, are to be understood as well. And it does create a very beautiful balance. It does give one a very balanced type of power, to say, well, the most precious gift what we can give to ourselves is to know more, or to know as much as we can about ourselves. And this is, I think, is an important part in the elements of the darker elements of a personality, of your own self, which is, I said, very grounding energy, is very powerful, very beautiful energy, and it does create a lot of potential for other things to come to light, to come to that purpose that has been bestowed upon you, from a higher power. So the line is straight. There is not much left and right, you know. You say, well, I am the line. I move on my path, on my divine path through life, but I do carry the dark elements and the lighter elements, as a magician does, and I know how to balance that because I live in the truth. I live in the good faith. Now I live in the good path. Now, so I honor my own path. I don't need to be on anyone else's path. My path is the best for me that God has created for me. So there is no better path than the one I am on already. And the dark elements of me, it gives me that power, it gives me that strength, it gives me that courage, it gives me all those beautiful elements that I cannot find in the light. No, I cannot, because they are of the dark. They are elements that are born and are 100% the quality of the darkness, of that form of the abyss. No, as King Paimon say, the abyss is the true door to yourself. Is the only true truth, because the abyss can teach you everything. Not many have gone through that door, but those who have will always be the first, King Paimon say, because the bravery and the knowledge that one has to reach the door and the courage to enter, it will be rewarded. It will give itself back to you. No, then nothing is lost in that way. And yeah, so they say it's not about using those elements. It's not about the manipulation. Should never be something of manipulation in the meaning of, oh, I have to pretend or I have to be different than I am. No, so well, that has been too a great lesson for me, because I always try to stand as much as I can as I am, and many times it didn't give me the result that I wanted, but that was the gift. That was the gift, actually. No, so it's very important to be aware and intelligent to reward yourself for the benefits of your own work, and to realize the effect that one has, that it has been a positive effect, even if it is a no, even if it is a failure. No, so actually it has been a success. No. So King Paimon always works a little bit like in a symptomatic way. You say, well, if there's a disease, one can cure the disease through the symptoms, no? Say, and if the symptoms are relieved, the disease will disappear, no? Say, one doesn't go direct to the point. There is a road, there is a journey to it. Things are not given just like that, no? They have to be earned. They have to be reached a certain type of understanding, and on that path, only you can go on your path, no? And only you decide how long and what are the things that you want to experience or you want to reward yourself. And sometimes that path feels lonely, because it's meant to feel lonely for specific reasons, for specific motives, no? And going back to the light aspects, the lighter aspects are the beautiful aspects, in the meaning of, say, well, the dark elements are able to bring you further. It is a more difficult journey, but a journey that will benefit you in a larger scale, in a higher or deeper scale of knowledge or of experience. And the lighter aspects release. The lighter aspect is always a form of laughter, something positive, something light-hearted, something joyful, almost like the fairies, the lighter elements. There's always an element of release, an element of the release of that burden, no? It does give a lot of joy. It does give a lot of light-hearted experiences as well, but one cannot go through life only experiencing that, because even that, as I said, the light needs the darker elements as well to flourish in the way that is supposed to flourish, in the light of the knowledge, of the discernment, in the light of God, of the words that has been spoken and brought to that light, brought to that truth, brought to that end of the journey. The light is the end of the journey, no? It is not something one can go through life only through that, because it will not bring them to their journey the way it's supposed to, the way the dark elements are able to make you grow. The higher point of growth is in the darkness. If we think of a plant, everything that happens in the longest period, in the germination period of a plant, of its root, of the seed, is happening in that soil which is dark, no? and then it is brought to the light, it is brought to the experience itself. So one cannot exist without another, no? So one is, it develops one into another, it flows into one another, it moves from one another, it even combines, sustained through one another, no? As the root sustains the plant, so it can flourish, so it can open, so it can reveal its own beauty at that element of the transformational power, but it all comes from the element of the darkness. So that's pretty much in the spiritual journey a simple metaphor to want to understand how important the darker aspects of one personality, of one soul, no? These elements in ourselves that we carry that are from the darkness. So there's nothing cruel, nothing strange about that. It's easy and beautiful one to accept those aspects and use them in their life, no? Use them in a proper way, in a proper form. To say, well, even I stand stronger when I feel an energy of the darkness inside me. I'm more grounded, I'm more powerful, no? There are even certain crystals that help with that, no? The black crystals or brown crystal or dark red crystals, they carry a certain weight, a certain magnetic power, a certain power that one can feel. The same one, if one carries those inside, those elements of the darker aspects, others can feel those elements in you. Your voice sounds different. Your ability to think is going to be more clear. Your ability to work, sustain yourself is going to be more powerful, more truth, more close to the truth, no? It's an important aspect that one King Paimon wants to say. It's not so much about the dark, it's not so much about the light, but it is about your own truth, your own being, your own expression of who you are, truly and fully, without necessarily, the expectation or the mirroring of others, no? And so that's a beautiful example. As I said, this is a short recording. It's part of a larger playlist where I speak about different knowledge about King Paimon, about the book and other ideas that I get, as a meditation form, as a thought form, for intellectual purposes, for a soul purpose, of expanding one's consciousness, of expanding one's soul, one's understanding. There's always an elevation point with King Paimon. There's always a few steps further, in a higher point. Say that the higher the point, the higher the view, the more I'm able to see. There is a certain elevation to say, well, there is a certain type of freedom as well. Say, well, if the mind unlocks some things for us and blocks, we do have to find little keys we unlock, and the soul can expand. We can expand as humans as well through the power of the mind, through the intellect. And in another recording, I speak about the exercise with the mirror that is very useful to understand, of the important aspect of oneself and the mirroring of others, to say, well, there is only one you, and all the others mirrors or people or experiences that are outside of you, they are all mirrors of their own self. It does not reflect on you, but one can still understand something and can transcribe it to itself and have to understand a certain type of lesson or some type of knowledge if, one goes after those things and say, well, knowledge is all around us. It can even float, in the space between everything. And it's like, well, who has the ability or who has the capacity to unlock, to understand, to receive that knowledge, or take the time, take that silence, take that element of meditation that one can find answers for themselves. That's the most beautiful thing that one can do. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to read the book of King Paimon, it is a very beautiful book. It is my masterpiece. It's called King Paimon, Lord of the Endless Silence, the Lord of the Abyss. It is found on Amazon internationally. You can find it. If you type my name as well, Anais Giulia, I'm the writer, the author of the book, and I have written many other books. If you want to check, there is in my description box a link with author page where you can see all my published books on Amazon, or you can just check by yourself when you write my name in Amazon search engine, Anais Giulia. You're going to receive all the different books that I've written. I have written and published almost 50 books until now, and I plan to continue writing, of course, but I've said King Paimon is my masterpiece, is my most important book, that I relate myself mostly with it, with the knowledge that it carries, and I will continue to speak, I will continue to share that knowledge with others. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, bye.